This is actually the second attempt at this. The first one yesterday was stream of consciousness. It was dreadful. Hello and welcome to an AVForums video overview of the Bluesound Node Nano. My name is Ed Selley, I'm the hi-fi editor for AVForums. This is subtly different to some of the reviews that have gone out on YouTube so far, and the main reason for that is that, with the best will in the world, this is a small plastic box. That's not a dig at Bluesound, by the way, we'll cover all of this to come, but in terms of incidental video, I can't have bouncing VU meters, record players gyrating gently in the background and so on and so forth. So there are fewer bits of incidental video for my colleague Phil Hinton to artfully splice into this. So there'll be more of it sort of being me gurning at the camera, for which I apologise, but this is an important product. We do need to discuss what it is, where it sits, and where it sits relative to the competition. So without further ado, so I can minimise my gurning time, we need to crack on with that. Node Nano will go on sale, well, if you're viewing it, it has gone on sale in late August for £300. This is a saving of £150 over a standard Node. To do that, essentially it is smaller, as you can physically see, than the existing Node, and some specific functionality has been removed. There's no HDMI ARC connection on this unit, there's no combined optical input, and fundamentally it's just streamlined and simplified. It's also not simply a Node in a smaller box. The Node is a Burr-Brown based device in terms of decoding. This is an ESS based device. Actually, in some regards, it's more similar to the limited edition Node X than it is the standard Node. The key USP, the bit that hasn't been changed, is that operates on the BlueOS operating system, and it's designed to ensure that that Bluesound has reduced the price of admission for getting a system up and running on BlueOS. I've gone on about BlueOS at length, but it does bear repeating that it is a superb piece of software. What do I mean by this? It's unconditionally stable. I've not, in the course of testing multiple devices, up to 6 at one time in this house, that's my personal best, and I know people that have done considerably more. It's not fallen over, it's not told me to sod off, it's not lost information or lost contact with bits and bobs, whether they wired or wireless. It's logical, well laid out, it supports a vast quantity of streaming services, basically everything you can think of, a load that you can't. The only significant admission is Apple Music, which is a shame, but who knows, we'll see what the future holds for that. There's an excellent internet radio platform. BlueOS is one of the apps that also essentially assembles your library content within the boundaries of the app itself. It doesn't rely on the rendering power of your server arrangement or hard drive arrangement, which generally makes for a faster and more stable browsing experience. In short, it's extremely good. And to an extent, that is what you're paying for with this device, over and above any headline aspects of functionality. Now, what Bluesound gives with one hand, it can take away with the other. If you are viewing this and you've got DSD files and very high-res PCM files, as far as the eye can see, this isn't going to be for you. BlueOS achieves a significant portion of its stability by dint of ignoring very, very esoteric formats. So there is no DSD support. PCM is supported to a maximum of 192 kilohertz, which I am at pains to remind you covers off the vast majority of commercially available music. But if you've got brothers in arms in a hitherto unseen multiple of DSD, this isn't going to be for you. There are some other actually day-to-day useful alterations to this. Around the back, where the standard nodes are mains powered supplies, this is USB. A very nice USB charger is actually supplied with the product with a usefully long cable. That means you'll be able to place it where you want and not where Bluesound has deemed fit relevant to a main socket. It also means it's not been something that I've tried here because I don't actually have something squirting out the prerequisite amount of USB power on test at the moment. But there's a reasonable chance that you could actually power this off certain devices if you needed to, and that may or may not simplify your mains arrangements. In terms of how it's built and how it feels, I mean, it's a small plastic box, but it's quite a substantial plastic box. I like little things like the complete ring at the bottom of rubberized foot, so it makes very decent contact and it doesn't mark the surface that it's on. It does look and feel more substantial than the Wim Pros, but equally for £150 more, things like the Cambridge Audio MXN10 is made entirely out of metal, and so long as you only want one room of that, I would argue that Stream Magic is as nice to use as BlueOS. I do feel that BlueOS is nicer than Wim's operating system. This is not a dig at Wim. I do think that their app is decent, I just don't think it's spectacular. Equally, of course, this has no form of EQ adjustment or similar, which the Wim does. So you paid your money and you take your choice. It's also impossible to get away from the fact that in terms of format handling and general behaviour, this product is twice the price of a Wim Pro. Now, there's a rider to this which may or may not matter to you. It depends where you are on your journey. It depends how much £150 is to you. At the time I'm recording this video in August 2024, every single product that Bluesound has ever made still works perfectly happily in their ecosystem. They've added products all the time, they've updated products. Products from NAD and Cyrus and Roxanne have all been added. There are dozens and dozens of options for your BlueOS system, but everything going back to year dot still works. That's an impressive level of support given we're talking over a decade. Now, obviously, I don't want this video to be misconstrued. It is perfectly possible that Wim, Cambridge Audio, other people operating in this space will achieve the same length of support with their current products. But broadly speaking, as it stands at this moment, that's not necessarily something that they've done. Your £300 is, to an extent, buying a guarantee that this little plastic box is going to be a useful streamer for a length of time and not an inanimate little plastic box. If you're only looking for a stopgap solution, that's not going to be terribly important. But it's something to bear in mind and it's something that's potentially useful. Something else to bear in mind is, unlike every other Bluesound product, with the exception of the Node X, which only came in silver, this is only available in black. At the time of recording, which is a couple of days before the actual official release, it's abundantly clear in all the literature that there is no white version of this. It's certainly not at release. It doesn't appear to be planned. So your choices are black, black and black. I think it looks quite smart. I don't think it's going to frighten the horses. And if you really did need it hidden out of sight, there's no line of sight requirement for it to be, you know, in view. It's app controlled. There are controls on the top of it, but they're essentially a sort of backup rather than anything critical to it. So you don't have to look at it if you don't want to. I've also done extensive testing on wired and wireless, and I'm tempted to say that it does appear to be unconditionally stable. I can't find any sort of bugs or flaws in its operation. It updated to a latest version of software under test, and that hasn't changed anything, hasn't caused me to reevaluate that decision. It just works. So again, if this is an early sort of journey into audio streaming, it's a pretty damn good one. There's very little it's going to do in terms of setup or operation that I would describe as remotely alarming. Sound quality. I suppose we need to be completely and utterly candid about this. Modern, affordable digital is astonishingly good. I mean, there are products out there which are doing weird things, but major products that we've tested on AVForums, they're all capable of startlingly good measured performance, and they all, generally speaking, sound pretty decent whilst they do it. I do like how this product sounds though. Buried within the tranche of measurements are little pointers as to how products handle very well recorded material and then handle less well recorded material, and how they deliver things like bass and space around presentations and so on and so forth. There are measured reasons for all of these things, but it's not as simple as simply looking at a distortion measurement and going, oh, it's that. This product has the ability to respond extremely well to high quality material, but if you just want to play Spotify through it or internet radio from further down the dial, it's not going to absolutely slay it whilst it does it. It's very, very easy to listen to without it being dull or soporific. Am I going to say on record that it's significantly better than a Win Pro or a Win Pro Plus? No, I'm not. They sound very, very similar. If you held a gun to my head on a blind test, I could probably differentiate that there were different products at play, but I'm not necessarily going to say that I can tell you which one is which with no, certainly not with either of the wins here to get cited to. Nevertheless, it sounds extremely good. I've been running tests with both the Name Supernate 3, which appears in some of the videos, and the Resident Cambridge Audio Edge A. If you park a massively more expensive digital source next to the Nano, yeah, you can yield some benefits, but I don't think most people are going to sit down and listen to this and feel in any way disenfranchised with how it sounds. This obviously comes with the rider that I'm saying it doesn't really pull out any significant advantages over products that cost less money. Again, you are paying for certain aspects of its performance, and those are not necessarily sonic ones. Nevertheless, it does absolutely nothing wrong in that regard. I have no complaints as to how it sounds. Right at the end of this video, now one of the reasons why I've decided to re-record this, because yesterday I disappeared into a sort of rambling incoherence whilst I stated this. I'm not 100% sure that this is the perfect product for right now for Bluesound. I think it's a good product. As a traditional stereo person, I think it's very well engineered and it's a very welcome extra option for people shopping at this price point. However, at the time we're recording this, it's a matter of relatively public sort of knowledge that Sonos has had a fairly challenging couple of months. They have released a new app, and broadly speaking, it has some significant issues. It's led to the disenfranchisement of a number of Sonos dealers and a number of Sonos customers. Bluesound has to be seen as one of the companies that stands to benefit from this very public self-destruction. And I believe that that's going to be something that they benefit from anyway. I don't believe it makes any difference whether this exists or not. That a number of customers and a number of dealers in particular are going to say, we don't want to trade with Sonos anymore, we'd like to go to Bluesound. I don't necessarily know if they had the option to run the development again, if this is exactly the product that they choose for this moment, because it doesn't necessarily broaden the appeal of Bluesound to less committed traditional hi-fi people over and above more sort of self-contained all-in-one style products. But hindsight is a wonderful thing. You can't develop things in the belief that your key competitor is going to mess things up. So it's a safe play. I just don't necessarily know if it is something which is going to bring Bluesound to a new and captivated audience of people. However, you can prove me all wrong by buying this in droves, and no harm, no foul. I do think it's an excellent product. I just query if maybe they could have been a bit bolder. It's not my job to tell companies about their strategic business decisions, though. It's my job to review these things, and taken as it is, as this compact, attractive and extremely capable device, I think this is a very welcome offering. You will need, if you are shopping between this and the WIMs, and we've got the upcoming WIM Ultra promised as soon as various little software quirks on that are worked out, and that's only going to be £50 more than the Nano. You're going to have to decide whether you're shopping for a single zone, whether you're going to be adding more speakers in more places, and just exactly what you want out of your streaming platform, because this is an extremely cost-effective way into what I still feel is the best multi-room platform in the business. Taken on its own, it has a stiffer fight against upstart competition, even when you take into account things like I've already mentioned, that the prospects are that it's going to be supported for a very long time. You need to decide how much those things are worth for you, but I can't argue with the performance of the device as is, and I would strongly recommend that it be on an audition list if you are looking for devices at this price point. If you've enjoyed this focus on my face as opposed to me trying to do arty shots, then don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm hoping more normal service will be resumed with whatever comes next. It'll be larger and more spectacular to look at, and we'll work that out from there. But in the meantime, thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.